I'd like to introduce Gustav and Robert. They are from the Stockholm School of Entrepreneurship, and they're here to tell you a little bit about StudentCompetitions.com.
Okay. Hello, my name is Robert Lyngman, and I'm joined here today with Gustav Borgefalk. And we are here to present a profitable, fast-growing business that has the possibility to be disruptive within 4 different markets.
But first of all, I just want to emphasize that we don't have English as our native language, so please bear with us with any linguistical errors that we may do during the presentation. So, student competitions. What we do is that we organize and market attractive and engaging competitions for students worldwide.
But Gustav, could this be a profitable business?
Actually, it is a profitable business already. In 2010, we had a turnover, or we had sales for $150,000, and this year we project to sell for 10 times that amount. And as you may know or not know, most of the Fortune 500 companies are organizing some sort of competition for students. And as you also can see on this slide, we already have a number of Fortune 500 companies as clients, to some of them which we have sold several times already. And the reasons why companies organize competitions for students could be for recruitment purposes, for engaging and attracting the right kind of talent to the company. It could be for open innovation purposes, for getting innovation and ideas into the company from students. And a third reason for organizing competitions could be for marketing and for branding purposes. Before I dive into our products, I just want to say a couple of words about our management team. The team consists of engineering and business students from Sweden and 1 student from China. The main strengths with our team is that everybody in the team is very sales-oriented and everybody is contributing to sales. The other strength is that we are a diverse and we are an international team, and we have an international scope with the business from start. Also, the team consists of entrepreneurs, like we have run ventures earlier, so this is not our first startup. For example, our CEO, Niklas, he has run Groupie.se, which is Scandinavia's 3rd competitor to Groupon, or 3rd runner-up. So, to the products. The first product we are offering companies is recruitment competitions. And in this case, I'm just going to tell you about 2 different cases. The first case is something called Future Stars, which we're doing for a telecom company named Ericsson. Ericsson wanted to recruit a number of graduates to their different engineering graduate programs. So we put together an engaging competition where students got to answer a number of different questions. So they were tested and screened in this process, sort of a pre-screening. So it's not a full recruitment test. It's more like a pre-screening. And then, depending on the results of the test, the candidates were matched to the different programs, depending on how they scored, which meant that instead of having 1,000 applicants that they had to go through, they instead just had to go through 20 or 30, which is much better. The other competition for recruitment that we organized, which I want to show you, is a programming competition for the world's largest streaming music company, Spotify. And as many of you know, recruiting programmers is very difficult, and it's very difficult to find a good programmer, and it's a very big difference between a bad programmer and a good one. So we're using the same technology as it's used in the Programming World Cup, where you set a number of questions which the students are applying to, and then you get a ranking list depending on how well they score on this. The second product which we're offering on student competitions is market research products. We are helping market research companies to source students for their surveys, which they carry out in different countries. And For a lot of these companies, one company which we're working with is YouGov, which is one of the world's largest market research agencies. They have a lot of trouble finding students for their surveys. So we help them to source students at a much more cost-effective way than they can do themselves. And they are paying us between $120 and $150 per student we are sourcing to their surveys. And often these come in bunches of 50 or 100. So it's a very profitable business for us. And the third product that we're offering is competition marketing. And these competitions, or could rather say contests, are contests that are organized by businesses such as Dell, such as Cartier, such as, it could also be business plan competitions, such as Rice University's business plan competition. And these are all our clients. I want to emphasize that. They're paying us to market their competitions to a certain demographic of students. So for example, if Dell is looking for engineering students in India to participate in their competitions, they come to us. And how is this possible? Well, the backbone of student competitions, and hence the name StudentCompetitions.com, is a website where we're providing a free service for students where we list global contests and competitions in which they can participate. So students, they come to our site and they sign up and become members. Today we have 35,000 members from more than 180 countries in the world. We also, in addition to this, have student ambassadors who are on the ground working as our representatives in universities and schools that helps us to help companies to reach out to students virtually anywhere. So to sum up, the markets that we're in is the recruitment market, which globally is valued at $412 billion. It's a huge market, and we believe that with our focus on students and on graduate recruitment, we can build a very strong position on that market. In the market research market, we are solving a pain for the market research company by helping them to find students. And of course, that market is also huge. The market for competition marketing is not quite as big as those two other markets. We're estimating it at $30 million every year worldwide. But on the other hand, we are fairly alone on this market right now by helping competitions to market themselves. We see that there is roughly 2,000-3,000 competitions that has the ability to pay for our services. So we think that we can seize a quite large share of that market as well. And the fourth market, which also is huge, which we are approaching, but we're not really in that market yet, is the market for open innovation, and helping companies to attract innovation from outside of the company, which also is a big market. And student competition is positioned in the intersection between these four markets, and our student network is the basis for what we do.
Yes. So the business model for this is that it all starts with the students. The students first interact with us through our site, StudentCompetitions.com, where we carry out the competition marketing. Then during her study time, she browses through our databases, finds more competitions to participate in, and find business plan competitions, recruitment competitions, innovation competitions, market research competitions, design competitions, etc. And while she does this, we keep track of what competitions she's in, how she performs in those competitions, and also what she's interested in, and which universities she's enrolled in, etc. So we create a competition CV for her, which she then can sell on for a recruitment. And the beauty of this business model is that we actually earn money in all these different fields. So you've seen this slide before, but now we have segmented it into the different markets that we are operating in. And for recruitment, our average sales so far has been $15,000. In marketing towards competitions, our average sale is $5,000 per. And market research, we have two different products. One is sourcing candidates. They will charge, as Gustav stated, $120 to $150 per candidate. Or we're carrying out the full survey where we charge $35,000. And we see this huge market in the innovation, where we just received a grant from the Swedish innovation authorities to transfer the mindset and our competition products to drive innovation, both internally and externally to companies. And there is a lot of competition out there within the different markets. But what makes us unique today, and what will be our competitive advantage in the future as well, is our student network and our student ambassadors that are working with us on the ground. So what we see to keep the competitors away is to strengthen our network and also to keep the students interested in our site. And by doing these competition CVs, and that will higher the transfer cost to go to another site compared to ours. So we have identified 3 risks for us to take over this market. And one is that a competitor with a lot of cash tries to enter the same market as we do, managing a fast-growing company, and staying true to the students. But we all have plans for this kind of risks.
Yeah, and staying true to the students is the most important part, because as soon as you're too commercial, then the students can run away. And it's the same problem that Facebook are facing, balance between the commercial and the value to the user. And we think that is very important.
Yes. So the financial, last year we sold for $150,000. This year we are on track for $1 million. Next year we will sell for $5 million. And in 2 years we will sell for $24 million. And as you can see here, the competition marketing had a quite big portion of our sales now in the beginning. But where we see in the future is that recruitment will have a lot bigger portion. So the investment opportunity that I'm inviting you here for is $500,000 for 10% of the company, with a return of investment of 69%. And this is calculated on a 2 years basis. And how we will use the money is that today we are working with a lot of multinational companies. So we want to go to other markets that these companies are operating in. And we will do this by creating local mini sites and connect student networks and student groups to those sites. In this way, we will both grow our student network and also open up for more revenues within these different markets. Because one thing that we have seen is that recruitment is most handled locally. So we need to be in the different markets. So we will have student competitions in France, in England, in California, in China, India, etc. And also we will keep on developing our usability and network among students. So what we are doing is that we are managing a global student network for which we are create and market engaging academic and skill-based competitions. So what I started with was to ask Gustav if handling competitions could be a profitable business. And what we have stated now is that it actually can. And we are opening up for questions from the panel.
Right, thank you.
So thank you. Can I just ask any other finalist teams? Thank you. All right, first question for this group will be Ricardo.
Not supposed to give comments, just questions, right?
Yes, please.
Gustav, how awesome is StudentCompetitions.com?
So awesome.
So a question on, I guess, reaching the corporate buyers, maybe on recruitment. How do you reach them? How do you raise awareness of your platform to them?
Yeah, well, basically in the beginning, we had to attract a couple of cases with well-known actors so that we could use them in the continuous sale. Because now when we had the initial sales, we got Ericsson as a client early on, which was very good because then we could use them to upsell. We do a lot of cold calling, a lot of references as well. And also in many of these cases, we are also referred internally between different divisions in the company. So for example, with Ericsson, we started by selling to HR. Now we're selling to HR, R&D, and the marketing manager for different competitions, for different projects. So we're upselling on existing clients, but we're also actively chasing down new clients.
Okay. So my questions are around growth and sales and scalability. So I've got a couple of parts here. So your sales to corporate are as I understand it, what you just said, basically a direct sale. You have a salesperson calling on corporate.
I could add to that also now a lot of competitions have started calling us. So since we have the website up, those guys that have competitions already and are looking for ways to market them.
So how have they found you? They just heard about you? Or?
Yeah, they Google for student competition or for essay competition, and most organizers, that's the first thing they do. They see what are our competitors. And then they find our website, because we ranked very highly with everything that is connected to competitions and students. And then when they go to our site, they find our service page, where they see our offering to companies, and they see the logos of all the other companies we helped.
Okay, so internet, basically internet marketing.
Yeah, but it's a combination. But the majority of our sales is from direct connection and meetings with a client. So we have to build a sales organization.
So that goes to scalability. Do you have a plan on how you? Let's use the United States, since we're here and it's probably one of the larger markets. What's your plan to scale or grow develop? Maybe that's a better word. Develop the U.S. market.
Well, yeah, the first part of entering the US market is to, basically to get students so that we have students from the United States which we can sell. So I think the first step is to do the marketing activities towards the students and throw competitions towards students in the United States, because we see that if we throw competitions towards students in a certain area, we get a lot of members from that. But once we have the students, one good way of, because two sides, the actual sales is through, one way is through the existing clients we have in Sweden. So for example, if we have Ericsson in Sweden, we go to Ericsson in the United States, and we say, we worked with Ericsson in Sweden, it worked very well there, we'd like to try this here. So that is one way. And another way is,
and also go through the clients that we already have, not only Ericsson, but also the clients that are based here in the US, so such as Dell, Oracle, etc., that we already are working with today.
I understand that, but you started out talking about the important thing is the student acquisition.
Yeah.
I mean, could you talk a little bit more? And then you switch over to the corporate side. But I think I agree with you that the student acquisition is the key.
Yeah.
So do the competitions drive the student acquisition, or the student acquisition drive?
It's both ways actually. But how we can do to attract more students, if we would like to go into the US markets, is to make a local site for the US market, and then connect student organizations to that site. And one thing that makes this easier for us to cooperate with students and handling students as well is that we are welcoming to the different universities. Because if a student performs well in the competitions, that's extremely good marketing for a university. So the university loves us, the student loves us, and the companies does the same.
So you mentioned one of your, again, an acquisition or maybe retention, the student ambassador concept. You talk how important that is, but you really didn't talk about what they do and what the value proposition is to the ambassador. They get paid, or they... Could you talk a little about that? Because I talked to you the other night also, and you talked about that a lot, but you didn't mention that much in the presentation.
The student ambassadors, we're trying to... We are many students here who love to compete in different kind of competitions. And the Student Ambassador Network, we have built it up from the beginning by people that we have met in these competitions. So it's really engaged students who love this this format.
Do they get paid or they get?
They do not get paid.
Now, the reason they engage in student competitions is the same reason why they engage in a fraternity or a club locally at the university. So to feel that they're part of something that is bigger, sort of.
Okay,
So that is the reason now. But in future, we see that if we, for example, set up a local mini site in the US, we could team up with a number of student clubs and then we could share revenues as well. But one concrete example of how the student ambassadors are helping us is that we got an assignment from a client a couple of months ago where we were supposed to carry out a market survey in 8 different markets: Nigeria, India, Pakistan, and so on. So the first thing we did was to alert our student ambassadors in those countries and say, hey, who can help us out with this? There is a bounty in it for you. And then there were a bounty in it for them, so they got remuneration for each student that they managed to attract. So it's a little bit like an affiliate program in the sense that when we get a client, we got the students that are willing to help. So it's a bit like having a ready-made or a ready staff in the different countries that can help us to carry out these missions.
It's kind of like selling drugs.
Sorry?
It's a little bit like selling drugs. Just kidding. This is good for me because I have a son who just won one of these incentive awards, and we didn't know what the heck it was, and now I see it has a place. But a couple of questions. You have lots of different markets, lots of different businesses under this, and it seems to me that each of these is going to take a different kind of marketing and a different marketing staff with a different focus. I guess my real question is, what do you expect to be, how do you expect this to fall out percent-wise in your overall business in the long run? And how are you going to chase all these? How are you going to put the staff together to chase these different markets?
It all starts with the student network, and then we can. This market has like grown out from the student network. As I've shown in the financial slide, is in the graph there, is that we see that recruitment will probably be the biggest market that we will operate in.
Yeah.
Because that is one thing that companies they're used to buy that kind of service. And we have priced our products there at the same price that it costs to buy like a normal recruitment ad in a newspaper.
With the additional benefit that with our competitions, you get the candidates pre-screened. So if you just buy an ad, you get 1,000 applicants, and then you have a lot of work with searching through them.
So this is like that scene in The Social Network where they've got the guy shooting whatever he's shooting and cutting away.
Yeah, but it's online and without the alcohol. So it's much more healthy.
And then the other thing is, I noticed reading your document that you don't really have much going on in the U.S. It's mainly, Pakistan, India, and China that most of your
Our students come from. Yeah, and that is today how it is. And I think that many of the students there, they are more eager to look for this kind of global opportunities. They want to come here to the US and pitch their ideas and show how skillful and talented they are. But as we also see is that when we have new clients coming from the US then that want to have US students, then we have plans how to grow here as well.
And you've limited your age range from, according to your document, 18 to 25?
That is not the limiting the age range. That is the actual age range of the members.
Oh.
So we have the demographics of all our members, all these 35,000 students. So we can divide them into country, what subject they're studying, how old they are, what gender they have, and so on. But I'd like to add something to the thing that we have members mainly from Asia and from those countries, but our clients are mainly in Europe and the United States. So the reason why we want to start up a local site in the US is because we have clients here already, and we see that By growing the student network in the US, we can sell that type of services as well. Right now, we can only sell the marketing services for competitions towards students in Asia or in Africa or in other parts, because that is what those companies are after. So we're looking a lot at the company's needs. If the need is recruitment, then it's one type of service.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I need some more clarity on your revenue sources. Do you generate revenue from your student network?
We do it. We do. It's free for students to sign up to the network. We don't want to charge the student with any fees, but we create revenues by using the students in these different products. So when the students click on competition banners on our site, then we earn money from that student. Or when he or she participates
I understand. Through the advertising or through the connect with the visibility on your site.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so no other revenue source from students. So what really attracts students, and you're not paying students, what really attracts them is the interest in the competitive game that you're creating. And are you creating that game internally?
It's both, actually.
Yeah.
You're creating internal competition.
In some cases, companies organize the competitions themselves, and we just take care of the marketing part, reaching out to the students. But we've also started creating these competitions. So for example, the recruitment competitions are hosted by us as well on behalf of the companies. So we take care of the technology, and we take care of the contributions and the screening process and managing the judges and all that, and the marketing to the students. And the companies, they just pay us, because some companies, they want to spend a lot of time. Some just want to spend a lot of money and get a competition out there running. So we can take care of the whole value chain, but on our site, Student Competitions, the students can find both type of challenges, both our challenges, but also challenges that, companies are organizing.
Okay, so run through in terms of the revenue sources one more time, just very, very briefly. If I'm one of these businesses that is interested in accessing your student network, what am I charged and what am I specifically getting? Where are you generating your revenue and how have you priced that?
It depends. If you want to recruit students, for instance.
To come work for me, to come work for my business.
Yeah, graduate recruitment, like standard graduate recruitment. You have a
So
graduate.
I sign an agreement with you. It's basically a recruiting agreement with you.
Yeah.
You sign an agreement with us, because either you could put a recruitment ad in a magazine and spend $10,000 on it.
Right.
Or you can pay us $10,000, and then you will get a fun, interactive online competition which also screens the candidates, so that you don't get 1,000 applicants that you have to take care of, but you get 20, the top 20.
And I get data on the students that have performed well in the competition that perhaps I designed through you. Is that how that works?
Yes, exactly.
So now I've got a better recruit potential.
Exactly. And also one thing that if you put out a regular recruitment ad in the newspaper, the applicants that you will get is the applicants that you already know about your company and your brand. By arranging a competition, you can also attract applicants that are attracted by the challenge in the competition.
So you get a much wider base for recruitment, and you get the top ones, the ones that are actually good at solving the tasks that are needed to be solved in your company.
Right.
Yeah.
So will you then design specific competitions that would go to the specific types of expertise that my company is interested in recruiting?
Yes.
Maybe engineering, maybe finance, maybe marketing.
Yes.
It depends on how we formulate the challenge.
So it's sort of a continuous idea company in a way, because you're continually defining competitions, you're matching those to your clients, which represent. So is the primary revenue source then you're generating recruiting revenue, like a broad sort of international executive search firm?
Well,
And then some advertising revenue and some data you're selling?
Yeah. And also market research. But one thing that also is good with our business model is that when you have picked the candidates for your company, there's 450 students who didn't get a job. Those students are still in our database, which makes that we can use, and we know that those students were interested in your challenge or in your business. We can use that for other competitions in the future as well.
One last question. How are you going to use the $500,000 that you're asking for, and what percentage of your company are you willing to give for that? And what do we look toward as an investment relationship with you in that regard?
We offered it for 10% of the company, today. And also we will use it to expand our business, because now we are working with multinational companies based from Sweden. But we wanted to create these local sites and also start to earn revenues from other countries as well.
Because the main problem right now is that we are spending most of our time selling and not developing the student service, which is the thing that's going to be the most important in long term. So we have to chase the short revenues in order to, well, survive and grow. And if we continue in this pace, we will grow, but much more slowly. But if we can take in that extra capital, we can also set up, we can spend more time focusing on developing the service for students and making better user experience, and also developing the service so that we lock them to us. And if we can take this position early, then it will be extremely difficult for a competitor to move into the same space as well. So that is what we want to do, and we want to set up a local site in the US, because that is the biggest market that we see.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
so you have created a presence in the market and an identity by using your competition marketing offering. As you shift the business to being much more driven from a revenue standpoint by recruiting, I see two issues that I'd like to hear how you would address. One is your student database will require a lot of refreshing, because students, once they get their jobs and are no longer students, are now not part of your sort of database anymore, right? So you have to keep making sure you get access to all of the new crop that shows up every year, which keeps, it's sort of that treadmill that you have to keep running on. And you're also giving up value by losing track of the winners, right? Who went on to be successful, who got their jobs and would be recruiting candidates for their next position down the road, right? And so if most of your business revenue is going to ultimately be driven by recruiting, and that's, like the last judge said, like an international search firm type of thing, then how do you retain some of the value of the information that you've created by designing these competitions and sort of doing that? So could you talk to maintaining the database as well as that?
So basically there's two questions. One question is, how do we get in new students? And the other question is, what do we do when the students graduate, and how can we still derive value from that database? Yes. Okay, so on the first question, how do we get in new students? We are, with these local sites, we want to engage student clubs in the local universities, so that instead of having a person who is responsible and runs, so we have to recruit new ones, we have a club that is continuously marketing the service, who also has a stake in marketing the service in the university. So I think that is the one thing. And on the other side of it, like, okay, so how do we retain the students after they're out there? Well, we have their details in the database, and then when they get recruited, we know that as well. We still have their details. A lot of other recruitment companies, they have alumni clubs or alumni associations. We could have something similar. Well, the reason we're not quite there yet, so we haven't got a clear strategy for it, to be honest. But what I see is that we could develop an alumni network of people that has been competitors, and also that they can be mentors to other students who are participating in competitions, so that we keep them in our sphere without like actually, even though they're not students. But also, I mean, the name Student Competitions is that right now we're focusing on students, because that's the group we know, and that's the group that we have the best understanding of. But as the business develops, I'm sure that we will also be able to go into into talent management. Right. Anyhow, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, thank you, Stockholm School of Entrepreneurship. That was great. I think many people are going to run out and sign up right now. So, but we'll take about a 5-minute break, 10-minute break, and get on to the next competition.